Hiya folks, welcome back to Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. This is episode 4 now of the Playalong tutorial series. In the last episode we set up an incinerator, a fire station and a heating plant, and in this episode we need to set up a few extra services so that those buildings can run smoothly. We have 3, 4, depends how you define it. There are either 3 or 4 systems we need to set up for them. So we'll start with the simplest first. Plumbing. This is why it was 3 or 4, because plumbing encompasses both water and sewage. We need to take care of both of those things with it under the aegis of plumbing. So, water, easy enough. We're in the plumbing tab. We want to go to the water substation. Click on that, and remember we left this little gap here. Let's just chuck that there, and you see it comes up with some blue lines. As long as those blue lines are pointing to each of the 3 buildings we just built, then we're golden. I want to hold control to not snap the path to there. You see it automatically connects a path, but if you hold control it won't do that. Click that there and that'll be fine. Go to the sewage tank. We're going to hold control again, and we're going to build that with a couple of notches of space over to the side. And then what we're going to go and do is into pedestrians. And this time we're just going to go with a mud footpath. We don't care about walking speed for footpaths connected to these. These are only so that trucks can access it. Fire engines can access it. Water and sewage trucks can access it to fill it up and empty it out. But we need that connection, and obviously the construction vehicles need to access it to build it in the first place. So yeah, having the footpath will allow them to do that. That's either 1 or 2 things taken care of, depending on how you want to count it. So, second least complicated, waste. Each of these buildings do have their own internal waste container. However, it's not very big. You can run into problems if you try and rely on that internal container. So what we're going to do, we're again in the waste tab, and we're going to go to the stand for big garbage containers, but the small version of that. So stand for big garbage containers, brackets, small. We're going to grab one of them. We're going to put one next to the fire station, and we can just connect that to the road, that's fine. And we're going to put one next to the heating plant, which is fine. We're not going to put one next to the incinerator, because the incinerator is there to dispose of waste in the first place, so they don't need their trash collected and taken away, because they'll just chuck it in the incinerator, I guess. So that's all for waste for now. We'll talk about how to take away the waste and the sewage from the buildings and deliver water later on, once these buildings are finished building. Last utility that we need to have a fully functional area over here, electricity. Nothing in here will work without electricity. So yeah, in the electricity tab, medium voltage, grab an electric substation. There's 2 versions. We'll grab the one with the footpath, just for consistency, and then we'll also put this one in this little space, so it's not going to fit. I'm going to turn the grid off just so we can fit it in that space. I'll just turn it this way so it connects to the same footpath. And you'll notice on the sides of the electric substation there are little connection points. Those are for wires. So we're going to deal with that in a second, but first of all we need to figure out where we're getting electricity from. And that is back down over next to area 1. There's this little thing, foreign power connection. It's already set to import mode, but it's limited to 0 watts. So just press plus to maximise that out. We'll only buy what we need, so this is just a limiter rather than the actual amount we'll be spending. But we'll put the grid back on. This is high voltage, right? We can import 18 megawatts of high voltage electricity, and we need to get that over to our area and convert it to medium voltage. So first of all, back into the electricity, go into high voltage, into high voltage switch, and pick the 6 times high voltage switch. And just chuck that right here, just so that if we need electricity in another direction, we can split it off and branch it out. We could never use up your last branch of electricity from one of these. Always build another switch if you're on your last one, so that you've got other places to branch it off. Yeah, then we're going to go into high voltage wires. The We're going to pick the 15 megawatt one. We're going to connect that, just a really short connection between the foreign power connection and the switch we just built. And then from here, let's go back down in the general direction of area 3. And we want to build another switch to receive energy from there. We'll put it kind of here. I'm looking at the dirt road from the fuel station and planning to continue that over in a kind of crossroads to connect to that. And then after we've got our switch, we want a power transformer. So this has an input for high voltage and an output for multiple medium voltage wires. So we'll put that right next to the switch, and we'll connect all the buildings up. So first of all, let's start from the end, go into medium voltage, and we're going to go for an underground wire here because they're just easier. They're easier to route around. They're not going to block buildings that we want to build later on, and all we need to do is just connect it like that from one of the little triangles to the other triangle. You can press F3 to see underground to see where that went, and I'll show you that when we're building as well. High voltage wires, we're going to go underground here as well. So this can only take 12 megawatts, but that's plenty for how much we need. So just connect up the switch and the transformer, and then we need to connect this switch to the first one we built over next to the border. What we don't want to do is connect it in a straight line like this. So if you look, you see how that's in the tooltip? It says 7,000 workdays, which is a lot of workdays. There's a lot of work to make this wire. And the reason for that is if I press F2, you can see the contour lines. We're basically going through this hill, and it's going to go in a straight line, which is going to make the wire very deep under this section of the hill. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to go up roughly to where this corner is, and we're going to stop there. And then from that end, connect it right to that wire and bring it right out to the switch from there. And what that does is it gives us a little corner in there that avoids the hill, and it dramatically reduces the amount of work days we need to build that wire. Then all we need to do, we'll go into roads and vehicles, we'll go into build roads. We'll choose a mud road. There's no reason to go for a gravel road or anything for here, because the only access that's needed is for firefighting and construction, which aren't high volume things, so we can stick with dirt roads for there. And same here, we can connect over from the fuel station to make that a proper crossroads, and connect up and put a curve in there so it connects to the transformer and to the switch. So now we've got the switch, the transformer, and the other transformer all connected to our road network, so our construction vehicles can access it. You can see from here that they've all automatically assigned themselves to those constructions, and will start working. One thing you'll notice is the wires are all white. What you can do, you just hit Start Construction of Planned Infrastructure at the bottom right, either by expanding it and pressing this button, or leaving it minimized and pressing this button. That'll change it from white plan to yellow construction site, active construction sites. And the wires are built from what they're connected to, so the construction offices will send buildings to this switch to build the switch, but also to build these two wires that are connected to it. So yeah, that should be everything connected and accessible by our construction offices. And now we're mostly just waiting for things to be finished building. So at the start of the next episode, I'll give you a rundown. We're likely going to have to run the game for a while until at least a couple of buildings are completed. So yeah, that's it for this episode. Quite a short one today. Hopefully everything was clear. As always, get into the comments if anything was confusing or you've got any questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.